it's going. Oh, wow. We got 20 people in here already.
Oh, it's about to go off right now, dude.
You're not supposed to say anything.
Oh.
Oh, Happy New Year, everyone. We're here for another live edition of Maclan Live, Maclan Talk. Okay. Well, this is good. I'm getting the messages right here. This is good. Okay, hold on. There we go. How's everybody doing? Is everybody still hungover? Kevin, you're talking about Jello shots. You must still be hungover. A little bit of hair of the dog over there, I bet. Wow. All right. I am going to take a second and share this real quick, and then we will get started. All right. Got that shared. So, where are we? There we go. All right. So, we've got a whole lot of people in here already. So, let's see. Willie Trent, Jeremy and Oko. There's some big Maclan fans over here. Rob up in Canada. Man, it's been a long time since I've seen you, bud. Miss you. Craig Fleek. Joe. Holy cow, we got a guy named Tim Smith in here commenting. In the presence of royalty. Nathan, Roger, Matthew, Andy, man, you guys are all just going crazy over here. We got Carl, Joe Cathy, Ben from Detroit. All right. Well, let's Roger from Norway. Wow, that's a long ways away. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. So we're here today to talk about a little something. As you know, Maclan Racing is fully committed to the no prep drag racing movement, as shown by our dedication to produce the first drag race ESC in the world, along with dedicated drag motors. We are completely committed to the no prep drag racing scene. But this is just the beginning. We have a lot more planned. And in order to ensure that we stay ahead of the curve, we have partnered with one of, if not the most experienced and knowledgeable drag racers in the world. I would like to introduce to you the one and only, the Ayatollah of the radio controller, Tim Smith.
Hey, just like this, here I am. What's going on?
How are you doing?
Dude, that was quite an introduction. I'm doing pretty good. I came right out of a show into this show to show.
You're a busy
So
man.
I'm a little on fire today. It's been a busy weekend for you and me, I would say.
Yeah, we've been a little busy the last couple of days.
Yeah. A little tip. Colin and I knew this was going to happen. We just weren't really rested well for it, I guess. Something.
Who decided to do this on New Year's Day?
It's been crazy.
Yeah. So, first things first. What attracted you to Maclan racing?
I mean, other than your boyish good looks, honestly, I kind of told the story on the show just a little while ago, but it bears worth repeating. For a long time, since it began, and I was there at the beginning of this whole shindig, when it began, we were just using off-road tires, off-road cars, off-road motors, off-road speed controls. It was just leftover off-road stuff. We were redheaded stepchildren trying to do this thing with it. And there was never really anything solid for drag racing. I understood. I've done it forever. I've done it since the 90s. So I understand the demands are completely different in it as opposed to an off-road car. But when you're using off-road speed controls and off-road software, you're going to be pretty limited in those kinds of things. And so we've been blessed enough this last couple of years with so many companies joining in on the no prep thing, but we still lacked the real thing, and that's the power, the speed, all those things to go fast. And we had batteries. That's pretty easy. You can figure that out. But a motor and a speed control and the software to work that way to make it do what it needs to do, that's something we lacked. And it was unfair for the amount of people that are doing drag racing now. And, you and I spoke in Arizona when you came there about it. And, we both kind of had the same general ideas of where we thought things should go and what we thought is possible even with the normal technology we have right now, without going crazy and inventing new things. Both of us like, hey, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, and make it a lot better. And you were already doing some of that, as I found out at that time. And so, yeah, it was very appealing to get to be a part. I mean, you're an awesome guy. So to get to work with you is a good time. I would race with you either way. I mean, you're like, like my Todds and my Matts of the world, I would be with you guys either way. But the fact that together we had an opportunity, you were allowing me to join you on this opportunity to really do something in drag racing that had not been done, that needed to be done, and to be a part of that, that was a big deal to me. I mean, I've said it before, my whole thing is I've done this for a long time, and all you can leave when you go out of it is maybe some remembrance that you were there. You had some positive impact on the hobby and RC. And things like this give me that opportunity to do something for everybody. Not just, this isn't something I just tested and do myself and I don't tell anybody. This is a big deal. I mean, day one, when the announcement came out yesterday, I went straight into our private forum and posted exactly what I'm running, my gear ratio, my motor, every single thing I have, because we're a team. And and this is how a team plays with each other, is we want to make each other strong and awesome. And so, yeah, I'm super excited to be a part of that kind of group. It's my kind of group to be part of. So
we're very excited. Your knowledge and your experience and your attitude is going to be a huge benefit for all of us running Maclan equipment. And we're not finished with the DRK speed control at this point. We've only just begun, and we've got a bunch of improvements, software things we want to do to make it even better than it already is. And you're going to be a big part of that with your knowledge and experience and your feedback. And we're already working on doing some things from
Yeah, I've told people I hadn't signed my name yet, and I think I gave Colin a laundry list of things like, hey man, if we're looking, these are priority ones, these are priority twos, these are future state items. Let's see where we go. So
exactly, yeah, and we couldn't be happier to have somebody with your pedigree joining us to help us be even better than we already are. So you've been doing a bunch of testing lately. Everybody's seen it.
Yeah.
You've posted a ton. How's the testing going? What do you?
The testing's, what have I learned? The testing's been going, well, the testing's been going very well. I honestly have not posted very much of the stuff that I've done. Like you maybe have gotten some because you and I have spoken, but for the most part, I've tried not to, because, you know, there was that quiet, hey, we want this to be an announcement. We want this to be the thing. And I posted one video a few weeks back of my car running it. It made a great hit, but you hear the stages, you hear woo, 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 going down the track. And I was like, uh-oh, I can't do any more of those because someone's going to figure that out pretty quickly. Like, what is that? How come every video sounds like you're running the Maclan system? Okay, well, so I kind of limited my videos. And if you notice, all the pictures and stuff have been of bodied cars recently. I've been trying to keep it under wraps. But what I found was, and what was really interesting to me, and you and I spoke about this in Arizona, was the idea behind this tuning with this speed control and motor in combination is unlike anything I've normally ever done. Getting your head wrapped around the fact that I'm going to run this motor with a very minimal timing. I mean, 20 degrees of timing is very, very minimal in a motor, a 4.5 motor. In drag racing, I'll just say. I don't think I've ever run anything under 32, 35 degrees in anything. And so that was strange. And then the idea that I didn't really have timing until I was at full throttle, I thought, well, let's see how that works out. But then I started running it. And then I started using the stages. And I started with, you know, your 4.5 high traction setup. And I went, that was my baseline. That's where I started at. I knew what gear, you and I had spoken about that. So I knew what gear I wanted to be at roughly. And I put down the car. And I believe right now 53% is the amount of power I can give it in stage one. 53%. This is a motor with 20 degrees of timing, zero boost, zero anything. And what the huge benefit about that is, where people, I think, are probably going to miss it if it's not pointed out, is that boost timing is all fun. I can add in from, 10,000 RPM to 45,000 RPM, 20 degrees. Cool. Awesome. That's great. But if my car takes off and goes 6 feet and starts to spin, all of a sudden now I'm adding timing to an already existing problem. I already have a car that's already out of control, spinning the tires, and now I'm pouring timing on top of that problem. It is like pouring gas on a fire. I mean, that's what you're doing at that point. And so if you look at it, you think, well, sensibly, sure, yeah, why would we want to add timing in there? That's silliness. Why would we even do that? Give me a motor that's strong enough to handle that area. Give me low timing it, so now I'm not hammering my battery pack. My battery pack's not dropping to 4 or 5 or 6, volts. I have a low throughout my entire run, and Colin's seen this, he can verify it, of 7.4 volts. That's what my pack goes to. I mean, I'm just not dropping it because I'm not hammering everything right out of the hole. One of the reasons a lot of guys are burning stuff up. We see it all the time online. I know you and I do. I don't see that being the same kind of problem with this equipment because of that exact reason. You're allowing the car to get going. You're allowing things to happen. You're allowing air to get over the body, and now let the car sort of lock into the ground. Now, yeah, pour the guns to it. Let it go. I don't care. Let it run. 100, 80 or 60 degrees of timing, cramming it as fast as you can at a slew of 10. Sure, why not? Have a good time. See if your car will handle it. It probably won't, but maybe it will. But I promise you this, you're going to come back and you're going to look down and go, oh, look, my battery pack held a higher voltage. Guess what? That is more mile an hour. That is it. Voltage is mile an hour. If you can sustain voltage, you sustain mile an hour. People ask me all the time, how is it that you go fast and you're 3, 4, 5 mile an hour faster than people? Because I focus 100% on the voltage drop and how to maintain it and how to regain that voltage as quickly as I can throughout a run. And with this setup, I mean, it totally allows that. It allows you to build that car up to speed and then pour that shit in as hard as you want once you're rolling and you're going down the track. And then you've got enough air on the body, hopefully at that point, that you should be able to lock in and keep it happen and all that. My problem right now is so much power is going down from 30, 40 feet on. It's hazing the front tires are just hovering on the ground like this. And so that's a problem. But going too fast if that's my problem, then Sign me up for those problems. I like them because they become other people's problems real fast. Yeah.
So with that said, what's your favorite feature of the Maclan equipment? What's your favorite part?
My favorite part is the new thinking of no boost. Honestly, the stages or the levels or all that. I mean, we were playing this game with our radios for the last year or two, trying to figure out a way to do that. Some radios had 3-4 different ways you can do it. My radio has only a couple, but you figure out ways to manipulate that. So that's kind of around. Like we've had the opportunity to use some kind of time-based control, but the fact that you're doing it and you're forcing the individual, say, to do it with this motor with not a lot of timing, and then no timing until it's at full throttle. So essentially up to about maybe the first second of the run, really no timing. A 20-degree motor with a gear, that's all you're running. You're pure. The benefit is insane, and until you get someone to do it, no one's going to believe it. I didn't really, and then I did it. It went.
I've been dealing with for months.
Yeah, it's a hard one, and I was telling Matt that on the show. I go, this is my goal and this is my challenge, because at least I've done it and I can prove it. I can lay a 2.0 down. You've seen my data logs, right? Some of the ones I haven't shown, that you count the numbers and it's 1.9 is those numbers that are on there. And it's running 60,000+ RPM and a 4.5 out the back. And on my gear, that's 76 miles an hour. That's just math, kids. That's just math. So, this thing works. It works. And my car is 91, or my ESC is 91 degrees at the end of the run. 91.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? You just have a good time running power. This was the first system that I really planned to have probably weeks or months involved in taking a system and figuring it out and tuning it, making it as fast as I felt I needed to be for Vegas. But from the results, and the truth of the matter is what I thought would take weeks to months has taken me just a few times out. I mean, the tuning has been so fast, and I really outlined how I do it on my show, but that's something you and I had talked about. I'd like to do some videos, and that's the things we're going to do, going forward, do some videos. Let's, I had the idea of maybe when you're out here, because he's coming out, by the way, everybody, we do a video where essentially I walk through an entire run. I set the car up, do my tires, do everything, do a burnout, do the run, like it's all filmed, bring it back, pull the data, analyze all the data, make the changes on that data, how I see fit, discussing it and all that on camera, make the run, see what the data is. Like, here's a snapshot. This is how I do it. This is it right here. Here is all the pieces.
Yep.
So,
we're going to do a bunch of educational videos and all that kind of stuff. So that's something to look forward to as well. And we'll get to that soon. All right. So King of the Streets. King of the Streets is coming.
Yes, it is.
2 months now. So how fired up are you for King of the Streets?
I am getting very, very fired up for that race. A couple of people, somebody posted, and I think I showed it to you. A guy posted, he just shared one of my posts. I don't even know who he was. I think you knew him, but he shared one of my posts, and he just wrote this little tiny caption. He's like, I hope you guys are paying attention to his photos and the stuff he's doing in his testing, because he's right. Because if you look at all my photos, every time I'm on a different surface, it's at a different time of day, I'm running different bodies. Like, man, I'm going deep. Like, I'm doing everything I can. My car, I feel like it has to work, obviously, on any surface. That's how I've always been on something. I should be able to set it down anywhere and go. And it doesn't mean that my car is slow enough to do that. It just means I understand how to adjust it to deal with any kind of surface. I'm very close with the car with that. Currently, the car is, my opinion is, if you have a car that will run 9 or 8, whatever the math works out to be for Vegas, if you can do 9 hits in a row at a 2.0 and you're not a goober on the lights and you can cut a decent light, you can go and you don't do anything silly, you win. You win this race. My car is very close to that right now. Very, very, very close to that. Of course, there's going to be luck. and there's good and bad luck. There might be a really fast guy that gets taken out. He sleeps. Who knows what happens on that? But my goal is 9 solid 2-0 hits. And I can tell you all right now, I am so close to that. It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm fluttering between 2-0s and 2-1s over 9 hits. So
4 or 5.
Put your big pants on, boys, because this guy's coming. Like, we messed around, and you saw. I love this too, Colin, because you saw me. This is part of my whole story now. You saw me in Arizona. One of the last times I went to a race that I had so many issues with that other car. I mean, it wasn't even power. It was just the car itself had problems. I mean, you witnessed it. It was a miserable time. It was a miserable time. I mean, I was really struggling with what I was going to do in this racing. But this beard means you're a man. And so I had to pull that together and make it happen.
Figure it out.
And I'm happy to report. And, it's guys like you, though, that come to me like, dude, come on. You've been doing this forever. Like, just not like get your shit together, like knock it off kind of thing, and you're right.
I think it was more like, don't give up. You gotta work through the bad times.
Yeah. And guess what? They're gone now. Now it's the good times.
That's right.
So I need nine clean hits and maybe a little bit of luck. And you and I are going to be celebrating in Vegas. That's going to be a party and a half.
We're celebrating that night for sure.
I can't imagine. I can.
So speaking of King of the Streets, we're both going to be there, and we're going to have our pit set up, and we'll be there to answer questions and help Maclan users and team drivers any way we can. So that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that side of it.
That's going to be a party. We should have several Maclan drivers, I think, right?
Oh, there's going to be a few.
So, yeah, it's going to be man, this guy over here. Wait, which way is it? No, it's this way.
The other way?
This guy over here, he has built quite a team. I was looking at some of the people that you brought in, young man, and I'll tell you this much: Maclan wins Vegas. Mark my words on that. Maclan wins Vegas.
That's the goal.
It's going to be my car, but Maclan wins Vegas. Yeah, I see it. It's going to happen. We're going to be too fast, and as a team, we're going to be fast because I'm going to make sure that there's nobody that doesn't have something that's fast, and then it's just up to you.
Yeah, and we'll have
coming to town.
We'll have a plan for the team, and we'll all work together. So that's kind of what a team does.
Yeah, we're coming to town. Yeah, this is real. This is real stuff. We're the first real drag team. I mean, you kind of realize that the first real drag team. Like, there's little teams where guys get together, but we're a team now.
That's right.
Like all those guys, it's hitting all those guys out there too. Yeah.
So we've got some questions. If people have questions, please post them in the comments, and we'll get to you here in a minute. Looking for a couple questions for Tim. Where are we? Right RC says, what's the Colin Branch motor ESC combo for DR10 no prep drag? Do you want to answer that, Tim, or you want me to?
Well, I mean, I have your motor, so
yeah, Tim's got mine.
All right. Yeah, you just sent me your motor. It's a 4.5. I have a 4.5 on the DRK. I was running the MM Max with hacked in DRK software when I first started, right? Oh, well, it didn't work well. All right.
DRK with the DRK 4.5.
Yep. Simple. Based on the 4.5 high traction, and then like I said, I think I'm 53. I forget what that one is when it comes, like when you enter it, but I'm at 53 on stage 1 and 78 on stage 2.
Yeah,
basically. And then you just got to adjust your time frame that fits your car and makes it subtle.
Right. Yeah. Matthew J. Forget says Team Maclan AARP team.
I have my card somewhere around here. Don't joke, I have one. 15% off at Denny's.
Hey, you're taking me for breakfast.
See?
Looking for questions. A lot of comments.
That can be a good and bad thing.
Is the software Apple capable yet? Hopefully within the next month or two, we'll have some Apple capable stuff. That one's been delayed several times, but it's coming. It's being worked on. Chris Trudeau, how you doing, man? Banana.
Banana.
Banana. You know, like Minions. You've seen the Minions, right?
Yes. Weird part.
Willie Trent says, I think the best part of Maclan is that they listened to what drag racers needed, while others insisted we had what we needed the whole time. I think that's funny.
Well, you know, I'll just say this: not everybody's an engineer. I happen to be one, so it helps tremendously. But not everybody out there is an engineer, so you just can't assume that they're all going to think like I do. And you know, got to sometimes think outside the box, and that's what you guys did with this whole idea. So,
right, yeah, it was funny when I went to Maclan with the idea. I was looked at like, huh? Like, trust me, let's do this, and we did.
I still think you're crazy, but
Casey Coochman asks, "What chassis are you running, Tim?"
I run a Vanishing Point chassis right now. That is a kind of a handmade chassis. He doesn't make too many of them. He sort of limits his run every year. It's a guy named Troy that races out here where I do. And I saw the car at a couple of races, and I really liked just the overall idea of the car. I'm also a huge fan of associated transmissions and diffs. And so the 5.7 car is Trexas based. And I'm just not a fan of that diff. I mean, if I'm going to change, then I would like to change to an associated one. And so when I talked to him, he said, yeah, I can totally make you a car and all that. And I said, you know, I'd really love is I would love a MP or a MIP B5 aluminum transmission. This is like for old school guys like me, this is the mother of all transmissions to have. I mean, when I was a kid racing, that was like, if you had that in your car, you were unbelievable. Like you were unbelievable. And so I reached out on the internet and I got a hold of a couple of them. And I gave him one, and he built me a car based on that transmission. And it's fantastic. The car is super fast. The chassis itself works really well. Like I said, this car tends to go forward. If you watch a lot of slow-mos on cars, and this is a big deal, is when you watch your car, there it is. When you watch your car launch, you'll see it start to rise a little bit before it goes. Like it'll do this. You don't want that. You want it to go flat. You want it to go straight out from there. Has to do with, you know, some of the anti-squat and things like that, some of your settings. But I've seen a lot of other chassis, even cars that I have that work really well to go very straight. But then I look and I see them and they're wanting to rise. And that rise unloads the tires. It takes away a little bit of power, those kinds of things. So sticking with the Vanishing Point chassis, that's a chassis I will take into Vegas. That's a chassis I have confidence in. I will have a backup car, I'm sure, with me because, you know, you get one day, one shot. And so if you break some stuff up, you better have something with you to finish the day.
Yeah, I might be in trouble when it comes to that because I'm only showing up with one car.
I got a car though. I mean, if I have one, like as long as one of us has one, it's all matters.
Right.
We're good.
We'll
be fine.
Brian Reveal wants to know what tires are working. Maybe you should listen to the TSR Speed Shop podcast to get that answer.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
See what I did there?
Thank goodness, because I just had 3 hours of plug for us. Yeah, TSR Speed Shop. I do talk about things like that, drag stuff. For me, belted Belted's the only way I go. And belted, no foam. Belted, no foam. I've flipped between the J Concepts belted and the Reactions, the Pro lines. I like them both. I really do. I've had great success with J Concepts. It's a little flatter square tire, and I kind of like the profile on certain surfaces. If the surface is a little better, I tend to like the J Concepts a little bit more. Concepts has some better compounds, I guess, that I like. The Reaction comes in one compound, and it's a little firm, but I mean, I use it 99% of the time, I'll say. So I don't think you can go wrong with either one of those. But for money and longevity and average of good, I would say the Reactions are probably you're going to buy one set, buy a set of Reactions, pull out the foams, glue them up really good. That's it. Race.
Right.
Yeah, same thing you do, right?
Yeah, no foams in my Reactions.
Yeah, I'm off of. I had a lot of different, rubber tires that grow and do all that kind of stuff. I had DEs and all the different brands, but that growth is just something that I didn't like. Watching too many videos, they would jump and grow within the first, foot, and I was like, well, that's not really building down track. That's just screwing up my ratio right here. And so, yeah, I think a solid tire like a belted or something is a better choice. That's me though, more consistent.
Good call. So Willie Trent wants to know, should I go with the 3.5 or is the 4.5 enough?
4.5 is enough. Yeah. I'm only going to test the 3.5 just because you know me. Like, I got to try it. But honestly, right now, if someone was to say, okay, Vegas is today, 4.5, and I'll have all the confidence in the world. I can knock off those 9 runs and fast. So, yeah, the 3.5. In my mind, I'm just looking to that to maybe gain a tiny bit of RPM at the top end, just maybe a couple more mile an hour, and maybe hold that G-force load that I'm trying to maintain through the run a little longer with that little bit more of a timing because of the higher KV. But these are very small changes. I mean, I'm taking a car that's in the top. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's in the top top 10. We'll be easy. Top 10 in the nation in speed. It's very, very fast car. And so, yeah, now I'm looking like, okay, can I squeeze a little more out of this? Can I still make it consistent? Because that's where I'm at now. It's fast enough to win, but can it do 9 in a row?
Right.
I guess you guys will have to find out.
Come to Vegas and find out.
Yeah, come bring your $100 and find out. I'll be there waiting.
Yeah. So Corey Lively asks, within reason, can the average customer achieve your results with an off-the-shelf DRK in 4.5?
Yes.
Well,
absolutely. You can get the exact same power. Mine's so off the shelf. The difference is, remember this though, is the car you run. I can add more power. I'm only at 53% on stage 1. I could go 60, 70, whatever, 100%. I don't know. I could do whatever. But 53 is all is all my car can really deal with. It's all the tires can deal with. At 53%, my car leaves with the front wheels up, the front wheels up, but it's the rear wheelie bar wheels are not touching the ground. It's that perfectly balanced at 53. Like, that's how fine tuned I've got that. But going back to that, yeah, I mean, you can put way more power in it. So what are you gonna do?
And you're running off the shelf equipment, so
Yeah, like I said, I'm running your old motor, and then I mean, it's just a DRK. I took it out of the box. I had everything just looks just like everybody else's. Took it out of the package. Cut the stuff off it.
That motor's never been on an analyzer before.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it either. I took it from you and put it in. That was it. Yeah. Like, whatever. I mean, I'm just gonna run it. I'm not here to figure out how to figure out more in it, or send it off to some motor guy to have him tweak a little bit more. I mean, maybe you do that kind of stuff, like I said, leading into the final days of Vegas, where you're like, oh, can I find 1 more mile an hour out of this car? Then okay, maybe you do all the tiny things, you clean bearings and balance stuff, and but there's a long road and a lot of stuff in between there. And
yeah, there's a ton of stuff that adds up to running those times. It's more than just one little thing. So Got a question. Can an LCG slash chassis run under 2.0 in your opinion with the DRK?
I don't think a rear motor car can run under 2 seconds. That's my opinion on that. My opinion is only because, I mean, I've run one for a long time. I started with one. Originally, I had one of the first beta versions of the DR10 when it was the DB10 that John Schultz was kind enough to give me to run for a while and kind of figure out what worked and what didn't. And the rear motor cars make a ton of traction. They launch and go straight. But the problem is, because the way the motor rotation is and the way the weight is based on the rear end, in order to make the car go fast enough between that 132 feet, you need to be going a certain amount of speed. You have to accelerate at a certain rate to make it that fast. And the rear motor car wants to lift. And I don't know how you can get the back end or the front end back down to go that fast. I mean, maybe some people do, but I think if you run so much wheelie bar that you're cramming the front end back down, I think you're slowing yourself back down. So a couple of years ago or a year ago, whatever it was, when people started messing with mid-motor at the beginning, I thought, I don't know if mid-motor works. I tried one and they're really hard to get off the line. Yes, they are. But 15 feet out, you can pour the coals to them and they will out-accelerate a rear motor car. And so that's where the problem comes with the rear motor. But, I mean, if you race a place where the track is terrible or it has a lot of crown in the road, those kinds of things, yeah, you guys might kick everybody's butt with a rear motor car. You know, that's the beauty of these cars in this class, is that depending on where you run, the type of surface you run, the type of car you run, it has such an effect on it all, you know?
Everything's different every day. Even if you every day is a little different.
Oh, there's a spot we go to that in the middle of the day, it's one thing, and there's a transition before it gets nighttime where it's almost impossible to get down it. It just, I don't know where it goes. But at mid-track, you lose. I mean, there's a lot of buildings around and they create shadows on the track. So you have dry, warm in the beginning and then it's cold in the back half. And the cars get crazy. So, yeah, you just don't know. I mean, all you can do is get the best advice you can give and then just tell people like, hey, try it. But try it comfortably and try it controlled. Don't go all in on this. Kind of see how it works for you. Look at the results and go, okay, well, that didn't work. That was the opposite of what I wanted. Okay, cool. But yeah, you gotta walk into it slowly. Gotta put your toes in the pool first.
So our buddy Dirk Anderson's asking, Tim Smith, what are you using for programming and data on the DRK?
The DRK. I mean, I use the Kindle that you're nice enough to leave with me. Yeah. I just use I use just the data on there. If you want, I can walk through really quickly. I mean, when I make a run, I get all set up. I run one of those little GNSS, those little blocks. I think everybody knows what they are now. That little data logger thing that measures your mile an hour, your ET, and your G-force. I really only use it for mile an hour and G-force. The ET it fluctuates between a tenth to 2/10, somewhere in there. So you can either be a hero or a zero, depending on what it decides to tell you that on that run. So I don't go by that. But I have that in my car. The data logging on the DR10 itself gives me every tenth of a second intervals of the RPM, the voltage, the throttle position, and temperatures of motor and ESC. Did I cover all of them? I think that's all. And so it covers all those. And then the last thing I do is then I take my phone. I won't say what it used to be. I take my new iPhone, not the old version.
You have to listen to the TSR podcast to understand that one.
Yeah. TSRP shop. So I do a slow-mo of the launch, of every launch, so I can watch the wheel spin. Like I'll paint a little line on the side of the tire so I can watch the wheel spin like a real car. I can watch how hard it's hitting the wheelie bar, how far it's carrying it out, what it's doing. So I take all those things into consideration. There's not one of them I just solely use. I take all of them. I look at the G load on the little GNSS, and then I look at my speed control and how did I have, my different levels layering in, and I match those up and I kind of figure out, okay, well, I've got a lull here. I can either shorten that delay a little bit, or maybe I need to stretch it out a little bit more here, whatever it is. So unfortunately, it's not one piece that I use. I have to use a lot of pieces, and I think it's required for these kind of cars with wheel spin and all that stuff. data log is one part. It's an important part, don't get me wrong. It's a very important part because it's telling you your voltage, which is in turn telling you your load and your wheel speed and all these different kinds of things. But it's one piece of a big picture.
There's a lot going on that needs to be read. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to know how to read it and understand.
Yeah. When I built my first dyno, I think that was the biggest challenge. Building the dyno wasn't difficult. I'm going to make something that runs a motor with a load on the motor. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. I can figure that out. But the key was, okay, I'm going to get some information back. I'm going to get some RPM or something back from this thing. Well, what am I doing with it? Like, well, how do I use that to my advantage? And that's where the real trick is. So all this data is all great. It's all awesome stuff. Don't get me wrong. But the trick is learning, how does it apply to you and how does it make you faster? So that's that's really where the learning is. That's where the knowledge of years of racing has come. I've learned those little things. What should I look at? What doesn't really matter? You know?
That's right. Yeah, you got to understand what the numbers mean. It's great having numbers, but if you don't understand what they mean, then mm-hmm. nothing's going to help you.
That's true.
Rob wants to know, will your Kindle Fire hack work in Canada, as the apps are not always the same? Yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't work in Canada. That should be fine. Matt Housen says, you really need someone
Matrick.
Matrick need to be able to fire off questions for you next time, Colin. That way you can host. Well,
hey man, he knows what he's doing. He's a pro. That guy.
I don't know. Oh, Matt, you mean? I thought you were talking about me.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, not me. Matt,
no.
yeah.
No, yes, not that way. That way.
Will the DRK be around for a bit, or is Tim Smith looking to change it right away? No, this DRK will be around for a while, and we'll make some updates and software updates and that kind of thing that you'll be able to download for it. So don't worry about it going away anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
How soon till data logging updates? Well, soon. That's all I know. Soon.
Yeah, all that stuff takes time, and everyone. I mean, I don't know how. Honestly, I don't know if I should even speak to this, but I know in my world dealing with this stuff, COVID and all those, everything got harder. Everything got slower. Everything. I don't care what it was. I don't care if it was getting gas at the gas station. It got a little bit slower and a little bit harder. And so multiply that by things that used to take, several weeks to get done. And that was pretty fast. Now, whoa, all of a sudden they become monsters, and you're managing something that's a big piece. And yeah, I know. I feel it all the time, every day almost.
It's like the butterfly effect. You change one thing here and it changes so much.
Oh my gosh, the tentacles, we call it at work. Yeah, the tentacles. You change that all of a sudden. Oh, it touches this, and this. Oh, no.
Yeah, people think you just type a couple things and you've got this new program. It doesn't work that way. So
no, but it's coming, kids. We're working hard. We have the ideas. We have the plans. We have the vision.
Yeah, we've got stuff coming. So Kevin Caston says, so I'm running your DRK ESC with a motor 3.5. Tim says he's running little turbo. I'm running 45% of turbo. I think he means 45 degrees with a gearing of 8117. I'm only getting 2.2 at 64 miles per hour. What am I doing wrong to prevent me from getting a 2.0 or lower?
Did he say a 3.5 or a 4.5?
3.5.
Oh, yeah, I haven't run that one yet, so I hate to say, because I've been so blown away at the 4.5 and what it's able to do. I can't say, because when you first told me the gear ratio, I was thinking 4.5. I'm like, oh, well, your gear ratio is way off. But I mean, that all sounds pretty good. 45 doesn't sound ridiculous on the timing for it. Again, this was where I would go back to things like that little GNSS thing, of your log, and look at your load and see, is it just peaking really quick? Is it just this quick little peak that comes right back down? Or is it something that comes up and then just sort of drags along for a while and starts to fall off? Because that's what you want. You're holding the power throughout the run. So, you may be pouring it in too fast. You may need to slow down your slew rate. That's what worked for me to get longevity is I was running, I think, a 9 or 10 slews, somewhere around there. And I'm at like a 7 or a 6 now, because I saw on the log that I could stretch that power. I could hit 2.5 Gs of load. I mean, and That's a lot on a little toy car, 2.5 Gs. It's kind of silly, but I can hit 2.5 Gs and hold it for what, 1.2 seconds. I think that log I showed you was. That's a long time. That's more than half of the run. I'm carrying a huge amount of acceleration in the car. So don't discount all those things, because yeah, you may be making that power, but you may be just putting it in too fast and the car can't really deal with it. It's just basically it's like a cup that you're pouring water into. If you pour too much, it could just spill over and you don't even know how much came out. So pour it slow, let it fill up. And when you see that, like, hey man, I can pour it faster. Okay, pour a little faster, but don't start fast. Start slow. Put your toes in the water first. Oh, something was coming after you there.
People are complaining about my sound, so I'm just trying to move myself around. I don't know. Can you hear me fine?
I can.
Okay. What else we got here? That 4.5 probably runs like a 3.5 anyway. Yeah. No, they're pretty good.
It's fast. it's you know, I don't even know how to say this without sounding wrong, but it's just the truth and it should sound right. Is I don't know how a 4.5 motor with that much rotor and that little timing on the can run 60+ thousand RPM and 70+ mile an hour. Like, it boggles my mind how no matter what I do to that thing, it just seems to take it and go faster. Now, of course, there's limits, and I find those limits quickly and contain myself in them. But then I move on to another place and I expose a little bit more power there. And yeah, I don't suggest for anybody. This is just going to come from me and my experience and the time I've had it. Unless you're me, and even me, I would say, dude, seriously, get it together. You don't need a 3.5. You do not need the 3.5 motor. Now, if you run some other brand, I can't help you there. But if you're running our brand, the 4.5, I mean, you are going to murder with that thing. Murder. 53% is all I can put in it, Colin. And you told me, what, 55 was the most you've ever gotten away with?
Yeah. So
what are we doing? I mean, I don't need a 3.5, although I still want one. I still want to try it.
We'll get you one. We'll get you one.
All
we
right.
can test it out and see if we can top that 80 mile an hour mark.
I already predicted on my show that I'm going to get it.
Oh boy.
It's going to come, but it's going to come in front of a lot of people. It's not going to come from some 70-foot away video with two guys there. It's going to come in public view.
Corey Lively says, I think one thing vendors could offer that would be game changing is information. You speak of learning what numbers mean and how they apply. I think the biggest gains across the board lie in education is information. Yes.
I could not agree more. Absolutely right.
We got things in the works. We're planning on doing some education.
Exactly that thing. Just like I'm kind of doing here, talking about the different things it does on the podcast we just did. I talked about it and even talked about there, you know, like, these are the videos. This is phase 2. Like, phase 1 is like, here we are. We assess product. You know me, I come from a very professional world. I'm a boss of my world, and I have to assess things in a certain way. And so when I bring somebody on new to the organization, or even if I went to an organization, these are the things I do. I spend the first little bit of time walking around, assessing everything that's going on, how the organization does business, how they work through their things, good and bad, and then kind of put together sort of a rundown of, this is what I saw, and these are the places where I think I can really be of a benefit to all of us and give us the most. And we have just crossed that phase now, have we not? And now we're into, okay, now we're going to put together plans of, these are the things. We have to obviously prioritize things because there's a million things to do in this world. And everybody's going to have another great idea. I mean, I've solicited a lot, and people have given me some fantastic ideas for things that, you know, might work in a speed control or a motor or whatever it is. And not everything is possible, but, you know, it's a good time to be an RC drag racer. That's all I can tell you, kids. If you believe this guy right here can get you there, it's a good time.
Yeah, you need to help me get faster now.
Not till after Vegas.
All right, Michael Burgess says, that's great for turbo and launch control, but what about punch settings? What do you know about punch settings, Tim?
I run mine max on there. There's the 100% throttle and punch. What's the punch reading? Gosh, I don't remember it. I have to look at my pictures real quick. But whatever it's at, the max, that's what I have it at. Whatever it came with on your 4.5 high traction setting. I have not messed with any of that. The only thing I did was I think I added a couple of percent to my braking, because where I run has a pretty short brake area. And so you can't be too silly with it. You got to get into it pretty quickly. But even then, I think I'm at only 43, maybe 44%. It's a very low number compared to what I mentally was using in other speed controls. I seem to be using 80s and 90s kind of thing. So the brakes are something that you don't need that kind of amount of. And it probably has a lot to do with the motor, the fact the motor doesn't have as much timing in the can either. So the magnets can be a little more aggressive in the braking, when you go into that section. So the only thing I've really changed is the braking, added a couple to it. And then everything is in the turbo timing, adding timing, adjusting that delay or the different stages, working through those. But I mean, if you want to write it down real quick, I'm going to tell you right now, one time, and that's going to be it. 53 stage 1, 0.5 is my time difference or delay, however we call it in there. Delay. Stage 2, 75. Delay 0.2. Turbo, 0 delay. 50 degrees of timing. That's it. That's all the settings. That's all of them.
It's
yeah.
Easy.
I'm in a 7820 is my gear on an associated transmission. So that's a 2.6. Make sure you get that right, because if you go into the Trexus world, that ratio changes a pretty good amount. So there it is. That's what I do.
It's different. So
yeah, that's my setup. So
perfect. Well, that's awesome. I think that's all the questions pretty much. So before we sign off, where can people go to get more of this information from you? What's that podcast called?
It is the TSR, Tim Smith Racing, TSR Speed Shop RC podcast. It is on iTunes. It is on Google Music. It is on Stitcher. It is on pretty much any podcasting app that you want to go use. You can also just go into Google and type in TSR Speed Shop RC podcast, and it'll take you to the Podbean, which is the host for the show. It'll take you in there, and all the shows are in there. Me and Matt were talking today. I believe we're at 6 years. 6 years of shows, dude. Now, there's only about 140, 130 shows, but for the most part, my shows are a journey. I take you out in deep water. We spend a few hours cuddling, and then I bring you gently back in my arms, and I give you a kiss on the head, and I put you to bed. So, yeah, you normally get 3-4 out of me, because once I get going, as you can tell here, I don't know. People want to hear this garbage. I don't know why. But we talk a lot about RC, a lot about drag racing. Sometimes I get upset, and that's always fun. It's always a good time. But yeah, you can get me on there. And of course, I'm on Instagram, Tim Smith Racing. I'm on Twitter, Tim Smith Racing. I'm on YouTube, Tim Smith Racing. I'm on Facebook, Tim Smith Racing. And I also have a Facebook profile or something like that. Because my normal one's always around 5,000 and I'm pretty limited. If you want to follow me on mine, click follow and message me and just say, hey, I'd like to follow your stuff, and I'll delete somebody who seems like they don't do anything. But yeah, we have a lot of people, 20, 30,000 on each place. So I try to keep a lot of content going. I have regular content going all the time on Instagram and my Facebook fan page. And then my personal page, as you know, it's more interaction with me. The other one is more, I set up, photos and stuff just to entertain yourself, like a radio station, just have stuff up all the time. So I think that's all the places you can find me. You can find me at my house if you'd like. I'm here most of the time.
I want to thank you for taking the time, Tim, to spend with us this afternoon. I know you're busy, and we're so excited to continue this, move forward, and get this journey started. So watch for a lot more stuff from us and Tim, and we've got big things in the works.
Yeah, we absolutely do. As Colin said, I just recorded a show before this one, so we're putting that out. So if you want to dig right into, what my show is all about, we'll probably post one up probably tomorrow. I don't know if I might get to it today. We'll see. Maybe I'll get up there tonight. But yeah, I mean, I want to first off, I mean, I want to thank you. Like you and I, like I said, we would be friends either way. This was just a happy coincidence that these opportunities came along. But I want to thank you from a standpoint of drag racing, of RC drag racing. You supported it when maybe not everybody was. You made changes, you pushed, you put yourself out on the line, not only for me, but for drag racing and everything else, saying, hey, I think this is the way. And then obviously I want to thank Wheelie for believing in you and being a part of this and letting a bunch of big old kids play around for a little while and see what we can do. I kind of think in the last probably 24 hours or so, he's probably been a little assured, like, wow, they weren't messing around, huh? No, they were messing around, man. There's a lot of people into this stuff. I'm telling you right now. So
we're only getting started.
We're only getting started. Like I said, this is the kickoff, kids. This is the beginning. It only goes from here. So more fun is coming. We are the first real drag race team, real first professional drag race team. We're kicking back like it was like in the 80s and 90s in RC when you're a hardcore team and you stick together and we work hard. And that's what we are. And I'm excited to work with all the guys on the team. We have a lot of great people. And so, yeah, Happy New Year. Thank you to everybody. I mean, I don't know what else to say. The support's been unbelievable. The congratulations the last 24 hours have been almost overwhelming.
It took me all day to read all that yesterday.
Yeah, I tried really hard to respond. If I didn't respond to you, I'm so sorry. I really did try. Message me. We can have a chat. I got time. I got a new phone. I'm ready to chat.
There you go. Wear that phone out.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. We've got Tim Smith here to answer whatever kind of questions you have, spread some knowledge, and let's all go fast in 2021.
Absolutely.
We'll
Maclan.
Woo! Maclan.